somebody could say, in fact people do, that battery packs are really expensive and that's just the way they'll always be, because that's the way they've been in the past. You're like, well, no, that's pretty dumb, because if you applied that reasoning to anything new, then you wouldn't be able to ever get to that new thing.
Right.
It's like you can't say, horses, nobody wants a car because horses are great and we're used to them and they can eat grass and there's lots of grass all over the place, and there's no gasoline that people can buy, so people are never going to get cars.
Right.
People did say that. And for batteries, they would say, it's going to cost, historically it's cost $600 per kilowatt hour.
This was Elon Musk talking about the first principle thinking strategy method, which is very good in problem solving. Now, Tesla solved a lot of problems this year. Today, as we are at the year end 2019, we are looking back to the highlights for Tesla in this crazy year, from up, downs, and up again. It was a great year ending for Tesla shareholders as well. So we are going month by 1 month, seeing into the highlights of each of them. So let's dive into it. So pretty much the stock started actually not that bad. We are here on the 2nd of January 2019 at about $300, which is, comparing to the other years, a pretty good number. You remember maybe the stock went up to $380 year before, when Tesla and Elon Musk said we are considering to take the company private at $420, and then the stock went up to $380. So from $380 until $300 is quite okay jump, but to start a year like that, that's quite interesting. But if you see then from the 2nd of January until the next couple of months, it's just ridiculous. So we lost about 44% until June, and then we went back up, and from this low point to now we are about 130% up. So this is really crazy, and we are going now one by month. What was really the reason behind this? So mid of Jan, 18th of January, Elon Musk actually started the year with an email that he sent out to his employees, where he actually said that we have to cut about 7% of workforce to make Tesla more effective, more profitable. And until then, they had a lot of quarters that they was not profitable, and that's why also this was the reason for this email. And obviously this was a shock to the Wall Street and all the analysts around, because they was not expecting this. This was not awaiting or even and somehow communicated earlier. So this was really something that catched the Wall Street on the wrong foot, and that's why the stock in January, just about this news, was sending down the stock about 8% down just in one day. So this was quite aggressive directly in January. The bad news continued in February. Now, first of all, there was the deputy or the general counsel who just was 2 months into the job and he just resigned. And this was another story of big executives are leaving Tesla because Tesla is so bad. And so, I just believe personally, either they are looking into the next step in their career or another step into their career to just get other experiences, or they just cannot be working under Elon Musk because he's a very special and very aggressive guy in terms of timelines, in terms of deliverables. So I believe the overall situation in employment in Tesla is quite good. It also get one of the best employment rates out there for US companies. So this is very important to know as well. Now, this was also followed by the late January, where the long time CFO Deepak Ahuja left left for retirement, still keeping a little bit of advisor role, but still this big departures, or one was not that big because he was just 2 months in the job, but the second one was quite big. And obviously also competition didn't slept in this year, so Rivian secured a 700 million investment round to produce their e-vehicles, the pickups, SUVs as well. So this was quite bad news for Tesla. So March in total was not the best month for Tesla. So the shares approximately fell 12.5% during the March months. Now, there was a couple of things to consider this drop. Now, first of all, Tesla, which actually was positive because they covered a $920 million convertible note that they had issued for investors previously, and they covered it with cash. So this was quite good that they paid it in cash, but then investors and of course short sellers was asking, hey, if they pay so much in cash, how the balance sheet will look like in the end of the quarter and so on. Then there was the Model Y presentation that also for me was under the expectation because it was not a big thing. There was, okay, 10% more space, 75% the same parts as Model 3, so nothing major here. But later on, a couple of months later, Elon Musk said on Twitter that this was on purpose because there is some additional information that will come out later on, and he don't want to jeopardize the Model 3 sales while the people say, hey, the Model Y comes with this and this nice feature, I want to wait to not order the Model 3. So you see where he's going, and Tesla needed at this point the Model 3 so bad and still needing it. So I believe that this, there's maybe more to come for the Model Y. And also Tesla made a couple of news like cutting the workforce, closing stores down because they want to focus on online sales. And this was also quite interesting news for investors or people on the Wall Street that said, maybe is this really the right choice to go full online sales? And later on the news a little bit outbalanced, and they say, okay, let's keep the major showrooms open that drive really traffic to the company. April 2019. Now we are receiving the Q1 numbers, and they were a crazy miss. So just to give you a couple of numbers, so 30% less deliveries than the quarter before, and this was crazy because the people are thinking, wow, there's a demand problem. Especially short sellers said, like, this is the proof that Tesla has a demand problem. But actually there was two big and very proper reason for that. First of all, they started to deliver the Model 3 to Europe and China, which means that the cars are 1 month inside a container and driving and or going with the ship to the destinations. And also the Q1 is the slowest month for car sales in general. So this was two big points. But Tesla had the huge loss of $2.9 per share versus a 69 cents per share expected. So you can see it missed huge the expectations, and even by then the stock just went down 2% after these numbers, and the revenue reached 4.54 billion versus 5.12 billion. So this was also a miss on revenue numbers. So you see the Q1 was the kind of trigger in my perspective that the stock went really down in the first 6 months of the year. So let's see what happened then in May. So in May was a really big debacle for Tesla. Now you had the big miss on Q1, which was released in April. Then we go to May, and in May the stock plunged 22.4% in total, which is a quarter of the whole value of the company, which is ridiculously. Okay, so let's look into the negative news. This was the happiest month, I believe, for Jim Chanos or David Einhorn, the top short sellers for Tesla, and the company actually slashed their base prices for S and X model cars. This meant that they saw a less demand for the car, obviously, because then you put the prices down to balance it a little bit out. However, then there was a Wall Street journalist from Morgan Stanley who said, you know, the stock can go even up to $10 in my bear case, but at the same time, you know, in a normal case, it can go to 250, and in a very good case, it can go to whatever. So this was very, very funny because he slashed on the one side the bear case very, very down to $10 per stock. So this is quite interesting. As in both cases, he obviously is wrong, so he can keep his job as analyst. At this point, Tesla absorbed approximately 36% beat year over year and just 43% downside from the last 6 months. And we came to a really, after the brutal May, let's jump to the June. So June was quite interesting because in June the stock went down to the lowest point since 2016. So you can imagine that the price of 178 was quite interesting. And I remember as it was yesterday, I was seeing this number and I was seeing like, wow, this is so cheap for this company. This is unbelievable for the potential that they have, the opportunity that they have, the products that they will have in the future. This is so cheap, and by the time I didn't have any cash money to invest into the stock, and I just invested a couple of days later for I think $200 or something. But I remember this number and I was thinking, it was just popping in my head that this is like the lowest number I have seen personally for Tesla stock since long time, and I believe that this is something somewhere around this number is the bottom. So anyway, we had a really good June because the June was a rebound month. So this meant that over 20, almost 21%, the stock rebounded, and this was quite interesting because there was a couple of analysts that said, looking into the market, there is a very continuous solid demand for the Model 3, and which is obviously good. And also Elon Musk had a shareholder meeting where he said, guys, we absolutely don't have a demand problem, not from the Model 3, not for the Model S, not for the Model X. So we are actually having more orders and they are outpacing the production. So definitely no demand problem. And this was obviously good news since a couple of months of bad one. The month of July 2019. Now we are looking into the Q2 numbers, and unfortunately Tesla a little bit missed this one as well. So they had a wider than expected loss. They also said that the CTO will leave. He is also the co-founder, GB Straubel, and moving to an advisory role. And many people were thinking, hey, why he is leaving? Can he not keep up with the pace? And I believe that there was also some articles or news that he just wanted to have a little bit of off time since they had a huge run, and Model 3 slowly was in the stable position, which they had a couple of thousands producing per week. So I believe maybe he just take some time off with family that he maybe didn't saw for a couple of months, working for Tesla in this quite changing space that they are working with. And the stock plunged about 13.6% on this Q2 release, which was one of the biggest declines of Tesla stock on one day since a long time. And the Model 3 on the other hand got really 5-star safety rating in Europe. So you can see that the that the product itself got really very, very good feedback on the market. And on the other side, the business was, struggling and struggling and struggling. However, they ramped up the production and producing a lot of cars. So let's go to the better half of this year. So 2019 August, it was a quite silent month for Tesla. No big news except they introduced the Tesla insurance. So they saw the opportunity of extra revenue for Tesla while offering the insurance directly to the buyers and saving the customer 20-30%. They had the highlight that in the UK it became the most best-selling e-vehicle car in the United Kingdom, and also the stock kept almost unchanged at around $235. Then the September, of course, it had to be the stock went down 8% because there was a report that Elon Musk apparently know in how bad situation Solar City was when they acquired the company, and he actually helped them out of the bankruptcy. Even he tried to convince internally somehow for the purchase of Solar City. So this is the allegations, and there is some court cases going on and so on. So bad news in September as well. On the other hand, the product got already the biggest software update, software 10.0 with Smart Summon, where the car goes out of the parking lot to you. We got the Netflix and some other games on your display, so quite interesting. October 2019 was quite interesting because the stock soared about 30.7%. And this was even just in 2 days because the numbers came out for Q3 and there was smashing any estimate that was out there. Like you should smash that subscribe button right now and also smashing the like button right now as well. So actually they had a huge profit per share with 186 versus an expected loss of 0.42 per share. This was with even a 8% revenue decline. This was quite ridiculously how they showed that cost cutting or being cost consciousness is working for Tesla, and how this really can work out. And since then the stock didn't had any further barrier to move on and on and on and on. Let's dive into November. So November, the highlight obviously was the Cybertruck. The Cybertruck, the most futuristic pickup ever, or even the most futuristic car release ever done. This design was ridiculous. How much marketing power they had through this launch was ridiculous. Like everybody was talking about this car, and also the failure in the presentation and all the new design and the features and so on and so forth. So though the stock reacted like -7 or 6% on the day after the presentation, so people or investors were not sure is this something good or not, but it was really revolutionary. And also the people saw a couple of days later that this is something good for Tesla, and the stock kept on and on and on and on and on. December. Finally, December, Tesla made a great year. All-time high is the keyword of December. Now they are chasing all-time high after all-time high after all-time high, and even Elon Musk is twittering, oh lol, the stock is so high, and stock art and other tweets that is quite ridiculously funny because a couple of years before he tweeted that he's thinking to take the company private for $20 per share, and now it's as of this recording as a new all-time high just today with $430 per share. And if you compare this to the overall performance now of the whole year, we are about 43%, and this is much more than, or 50% more than the 30% of the S&P 500 performance. So if you had the luck to invest your money into Tesla shares, you outperformed the market. Congratulations out there. And if you listen to the Wolf since the summer, since I started this channel, then you are about 130% plus in profit. So you are welcome. I see you tomorrow. Bye.